Hey everybody, this is Angela. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my channel. My channel is Come Read With Me, Angela54. And today we're going to finish up Who Was Princess Diana. I think we got about 2 chapters, maybe 3. Okay. Chapter 8, On Her Own. In February 1992, Diana and Charles traveled together on a visit to India. Charles went about his official business and Diana visited the country's poor. She also had the chance to meet one of her heroes, Mother Teresa, who ran a home for the sick and dying. One by one, Diana visited all 50 of Mother Teresa's patients who were close to death. In March of 1992, Diana's father died in London. Both Charles and Diana attended John Spencer's funeral, but reporters noticed that they arrived and left separately. By December, they had officially separated. Diana moved into Kensington Palace in London, while Charles continued to live in their home in Highgrove. When 10-year-old Prince William was told the news about his parents' separation, he responded to his mother, "I hope will both be happier now." Both William and Harry lived away at boarding school. They came home on weekends. They took turns staying with either their mother or their father. So during the school year, Diana only saw her boys every other weekend. She missed them terribly. Diana remembered how difficult it was for her when her own parents had separated. She tried to show William and Harry more love than ever. "I hug my children to death," Diana said at the time. Diana was traveling around the world, more visiting homeless shelters and children's hospitals because reporters still follow her every move. Diana visit helped attract attention to places and causes that needed help and money. In November 1994, she attended a reception for the 125th anniversary of the British Red Cross. By showing her support, she helped raise millions for the organization. In June 1995, Diana visited Moscow, Russia. She presented a children's hospital with new medical equipment and also visited an elementary school. When it was Diana's turn to have the boys, she often took them on these trips with her. She wanted William and Harry to see the world and grow into caring and kind people too. "I want them to have an understanding of people's emotions, of people's insecurity, people's distress of their hopes and dreams," she explained. On August 28, 1996, Diana and Charles finally divorced. Although they had been living separately for years, the divorce made everything official. It was very big news. Nobody wanted the fairy tale to end. Charles and Diana were supposed to live happily ever after. The couple agreed to share equal time with their boys. Diana was allowed to keep her home in Kensington Palace, but she would no longer be called Her Royal Highness. Her title remained Princess of Wales. After the divorce, Diana began to blossom. William's hope for his mother seemed to come true. She did seem happier following her own set of rules, and Diana was as popular as ever. People were especially curious about who she might be dating after her marriage to Prince Charles had ended. Photographers still hounded her everywhere she went. "I would come back to my car and find 6 freelance photographers jumping around me," Diana once explained in an interview. Magazines and newspapers could sell millions. of copies if they included just one photograph of Diana on a date or in a private moment with a friend. This made life for Diana a daily challenge. She handled the constant pressure with the grace of a princess. She always seemed to smile brightly as cameras flashed and curious reporters surrounded her. Chapter 9. Farewell, Diana. Even though she would have preferred to keep her personal life private, Diana welcomed attention to her favorite causes. She used her celebrity status to help people in need. In her 19, Used her celebrity status to help people in need. In late 1996, Diana turned her attention to help victims who have been injured from hitting explosive landmines. Landmines are small bombs that have been buried in battlefields during wartime to prevent the enemy from advancing. After a war ends, landmines are often forgotten and they can harm innocent people who stepped on an unmarked explosive. Working with the Red Cross, in January 1997, Diana visited the African country of Angola. A civil war had been going on in Angola for 20 years, and 15 million mines forgotten weapons were scattered across the country. Close to 50,000 people, including children, had lost an arm or leg in landmines accidents. When Diana visited Angola, her goal was to achieve a worldwide ban on landmines. She wanted to be sure that these small yet deadly weapons would never be used again, just as she had done with AIDS patients years before. Diana talked to and confronted the landmine victims, many of whom had been injured simply by walking in the countryside. She soon made sure the world cared about this issue too. In June 1997, Diana used her own clothing to raise money at Christie's, an auction house in New York City. 79 of Diana's most beautiful gowns and dresses were each sold to the highest bidder. The, the Travolta dress alone was purchased for $220,500. It was the most expensive price for clothing Christie's has ever sold. In total, the dresses earned $3.25 million. The money was to, used to help cancer and AIDS patients, but the world was interested in more than just Diana's charitable work. Less than a year after her divorce, she began dating Dodi Fayed. He was a billionaire whose family owned Harrods, the famous British department store. Some people did not think Dodi was the right choice for Diana. He liked to spend his money on fancy cars, big boats, and expensive parties, but Diana liked him. She even introduced him to her sons, William, now 15, and Harry, aged 12, in the summer of 97. They took the boys on a vacation into the south of France. On August 30th, Diana and Dodi visit Paris. They went out to dinner at the Ritz Hotel in the heart of the city. After finishing their meal, Diana and Dodi tried to sneak out the back door of the hotel. They wanted to avoid the photographers called paparazzi, waiting to take pictures of them. Diana and Dodi hopped into a black car and their driver sped away. The paparazzi began chasing them in their cars, motorcycles, and scooters, desperate to get a photograph. A picture of the couple could be sold for thousands of dollars. Dodi's driver sped up to try to get away from the cameraman. The driver was going too fast and lost control. The car crashed into a concrete pillar inside a Paris tunnel. Dodie and Diana and the driver died instantly in the accident. Diana was taken to the hospital and she died shortly after. Princess Diana was only 36. Chapter 10. Sadness and Grief. The world was devastated by Diana's death. In her honor, mourners left 20 million pounds, left 20 million pounds, 10,000 tons of flowers in front of Buckingham Palace. Diana's family and friends blamed her death on the photographers who had been following Diana that night. Her brother Charles thought that the magazine and newspapers that brought the photographers were also to blame because they encouraged the paparazzi to be so aggressive. The royal family mourned quietly and privately over the loss of Diana. On the night before her funeral, the, the, the Queen spoke lovingly of her former daughter-in-law. So, what I say to you now, as your queen and as a grandmother, I say from my heart, she began. Diana was an exceptional and gifted human being in good times and bad. She never lost her capacity to smile and laugh, nor to inspire others with her warmth and kindness. Diana's funeral was held on September 6, 1997. Her coffin was driven through the streets of London on a horse-drawn carriage. In addition to Diana's family, there were also 500 more people walking behind her coffin. These people who had suffered from illness such as AIDS and cancer were the ones who had been helped the most by the charities Diana supported during her lifetime. The carriage route was made even longer so that all the people who lined the streets could see it pass. More than 2.5 billion people watched the services on television, making it one of the most watched events in history. Diana's brother Charles began his speech at the funeral with these words: I stand before you today, the representative of a family in grief, and a country in mourning, before a world in shock. Sir Elton John, Diana's good friend, sang his song Candle in the Wind with special lyrics written just for Diana. In one verse he sang, you called out to our country and you whispered to those in pain, now you belong to heaven and the stars spell out your name. Some of the most famous people in the world attended Diana's funeral, including the First Lady Hillary Clinton, director Steven Spielberg, stars Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks, and designer Donatella Versace. After a private ceremony at her family's home, Diana was buried on the island in a lake on the Arfdorf estate. A path leading up to her gravesite is lined with 36 oak trees, one to mark each year of her life. Chapter 11. Today, Diana's spirit and legacy lives on, especially in her children. Her oldest son is married to Catherine Elizabeth Kate Middleton, who is called the Duchess of Cambridge. Will and Kate met in college in the University of St. Andrews in Scotland. Kate didn't have a royal or even a noble childhood, but her kind and gentle personality reminded many people of Diana. William has said that not a day goes by that he doesn't think about his mother. Prince Harry was in the military for 10 years, serving in the Armed Air Corps. In 2014, he founded the Invictus Games, an international multi-sports event for wounded veterans. Harry said he realized he had a responsibility to help all veterans who had made huge personal sacrifices for their country. I believe I got a lot of my mother in me, Harry said, referring to her history of charitable work. He has said, I want to try to carry it on to make her proud. Diana's life didn't turn out to have the fairy tale ending she had once hoped for, but she became the people's princess for all the kind and generous things she had accomplished. Diana had a special way of wanting to help anyone who might need her attention. It made people want to know her, to be around her, and sometimes just to see her. She was considered to be as beautiful on the inside as she was on the outside. She became an international celebrity and one of the world's most admired women. In Diana's short life, she made the world a better place. She made people understand that acts of simple kindness are what mattered the most. I knew what my job was, Diana once said. It was to go out and meet the people and love them. And that's the end of Who Was Princess Diana. What a remarkable woman. Well, please hit like and subscribe to my channel. Please hit the notification bell so you know when I come up with another um, video. And I hope you all have a good afternoon. Good night and God bless.